Welcome to Dump Truck Toolbox. I'm Alan, and today we're going to talk about what happens when a dump truck driver goes missing in action. So I'm going to do some videos on bad behavior for dump truck drivers. And first thing we're going to talk about is missing in action. There are several ways that you can go missing in action if you're a dump truck operator. First of all, you can show up late. If you work for a construction company like I do, or a materials yard, and you have a clock-in time, they expect to see you there. And if you don't show up at your clock-in time, then the supervisor or the fleet manager needs to start thinking about, well, am I short a truck today? What do I need to call the people who are expecting this truck to show up? That's a bad deal. The second thing that can happen is a dump truck driver in the middle of the day can go off and hide. The first time I was being trained as a dump truck driver, this is going back, 2.5 years now. We were working a project where the trucks were all for hire trucks, and we were getting spoils at the construction site and taking them just more or less around the corner and dumping them out at another site and coming back. And for me, once I got the hang of it, once my senior driver said, Alan, you're doing good here, go ahead, let's just get it rolling, I can make a run about every 15 minutes. Load, drive, dump out, drive back. But there was one truck who was there with us, and almost every day he would show up in the morning, he'd do 2, 3, 4 runs, and then you wouldn't see him. And right before lunchtime, he'd show up, he'd do another, 3 runs or so, and then he'd disappear. And then, we're supposed to clock out at 4 o'clock or whenever. And so maybe 45 minutes before that, he'd show up, do another couple runs, and then he'd clock out. Like, wait a second, you're getting paid by the hour. The senior driver I was with and we were doing, a good 20 something runs. And this other driver was doing maybe 10 or 12. That driver was going missing in action in the middle of the day. Third way you can go missing in action is to leave early without permission. And so I was working at a place that a driver more than once decided more or less on his own that he needed to get off, promptly at whenever, 2:30 or 3. Everyone else, we were expected to work really until the job was done, and especially on a paving job where the crew there, they're all set up, they've got the right number of trucks. Trucks come in, they dump out the asphalt, they go back and pick up another load. Well, if a truck drops out of the line, that slows the crew down, and they may not get as much done as they wanted to in the middle of the day. So, missing in action drivers, what's going on there? Now, sometimes life happens, I understand that. Sometimes, your car breaks down on the way to work, or you have a doctor's appointment, supposed to clock out at 4, but the doctor's office closes at 4:30. You can't work until 4 and make it to the doctor. Okay, so sometimes life happens. There, the answer is communication. I'll have a doctor's appointment, every couple months maybe. that I really need to get off early for, about a week before the appointment, I speak to the foreman and I say, hey, next Wednesday I'm going to be off. I need to get off early. Is that okay with you? Where I work, at least, I always say yes. And then a day or two before, I say, hey, remember on Wednesday I got a doctor's appointment. Oh yeah. I've got it written here on my wall calendar. And then the morning of, I go, now remember I'm getting off early, right? He says, yep, absolutely. And so then I get my truck, I drive to the site. I say to the foreman at the site or the superintendent or whoever's in charge there, hey, you probably heard from my foreman that I'm going to get off early today. I got a doctor's appointment. And they go, oh yeah, we understand. Communication. Okay, I'm not there, but I'm not missing an action. I didn't just disappear. So sometimes life happens. If your car breaks down, on the phone right away. You call in, you say, hey, this is what's going on. I'm going to get there as soon as I can. So if you do every now and then need to not be in the truck hauling, communicate. Be polite and professional about it. It's better to say, is it okay, than, hey, I'm going to take off early. The second thing with missing in action is it is related to a key personality trait, which as an organizational psychologist I've looked at pretty closely, and that trait is called conscientiousness. And so of all the personality variables I've studied, conscientiousness is the one pretty much universal characteristic that leads to better performance in all jobs. And conscientiousness is you do what you say you're going to do. Conscientiousness is a personality trait. It's not like how tall you are. It just is what it is. Conscientiousness can be cultivated, and the way you do it is you do the hard things that you've promised to do. Yeah, it is hard to get up at dark 30 and get all your gear ready and show up to work every day. Harder for some people than others. Well, you just do it. And just like working out in the gym or biking long distances or whatever, you got a set of muscles that you will develop and they will become stronger, and conscientiousness can become a defining characteristic of who you are as a professional driver or any other job that you take on. So missing in action, short-term fix is communication, let them know. Longer-term fix, develop your own conscientiousness. Follow through, be reliable. That's what people want. And it's true if you drive for a fleet or if you're an individual owner-operator. You say you're going to do something, people can trust that you'll actually do it. Don't go missing in action. Communicate and be conscientious. Thank you for joining me on the channel today. If today's video was useful or interesting, please hit the like button. If you're interested in more about personality, I've got some ideas on what it takes to be a good owner-operator, and this video specifically talks about some personality characteristics. Thanks for tuning in today. Hope to see you again soon on the Dump Truck Toolbox.